HBCU's got to do with it. What's love with a second-hand emotion? We back. We are back. Talked about it briefly, but because of this entire Charlie Kirk situation, a lot of or several HBCUs have been targeted. As far as, give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. All right. They've been targeted because they're saying that, there just been certain threats. Now, do I think that they're meaningful threats? I don't know. Who knows? I don't think so. But what I will say is that it's terrible. It's terrible, but, living in this country is typical. Something happens to somebody, everybody's looking to point the blame. I know even as a human, it happens to me. It happens to, I remember when I got into an accident, I was wondering, hey, who let their kid drive this car? When they may not have even known that their kid had the car. But that's how human nature is. We are always looking for somebody to blame. Even when it's hard and we have to blame ourselves, we still got to find somebody else to blame. And I wonder why that is. I wonder why it always has to be, because I'm thinking to myself, now, once again, correct me if I'm wrong, and you could put in the comments, but were any predominantly white institutions threatened over this Charlie Kirk situation? And the reason why I bring this stuff up is because, I am a black guy in America, and I do know friends and family members who go to HBCUs. Now, maybe not the ones that were threatened, but I could just imagine if I had a kid down there, I would feel terrible because I'm thinking to myself, you're not going to get a bunch of black people that are going to go out to Utah and start any crap. I think back to even when Trayvon Martin, unfortunately, was killed. You didn't have a lot of black people down there shooting white people or threatening white people that I can remember. Or any other group of people. But this is why, and we'll talk about this later on this week too, the new face, in my estimation, of white nationalists, and a lot of them happen to be black. Because you see, money means a lot, but it doesn't mean everything. Give you a for instance. Sometimes I do think if I was a different race or different whatever, and I had some of the views that I had, but maybe on the other side, that I'd probably get way more views. Because I think that a lot of times in our community, we only like to see, now this is humans, period, want to see blood, but in our community, meaning me, African American, is that a lot of times we're just interested in the quick, how can I say it? I don't even want to call it BS because I cover it sometimes, but just some of the quick, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, gossip kind of stuff. The back page story. Let me figure out, who's dating who did this to who, why are they feeling this way, why is this happening, why is that happening? As opposed to, as I tell people, just take 10 minutes out. Even if you're not listening to me, listen to something that has some tangible meaning to it to help your mind, because that's what I do. When I watch YouTube, I watch some trash on there, of course, but I do watch other people who debate, who challenge my mind to be better, who challenge me to be sharper, to be more of a thinker. Where even stuff now that I don't want to listen to over the last 10 years, like Fox News and just different things like that said, because they all give out propaganda. I don't care whether it's Fox News or MSNBC. It just depends on which side you're on. But some of it just gets so egregious and so out of control, just like with this Charlie Kirk situation where, it's almost like a kid throwing a tantrum. And I get it. It's going to be on both sides. Democrat and Republican. Nobody ever talks about independent or any of the other parties because those are the two parties that dominate this country. But why do you still have to feel like you need to send death threats and threaten people and kids at a college campus? Weren't kids supposed to be off limits? You know what I mean? Weren't the kids supposed to be off limits? Weren't things supposed to be to a point where we could say, hey, listen, this isn't going to happen? We've had people go into schools, kill kids in schools. We've had people go into churches, kill people in churches. What kind of society have we become? I guess for many people that have known, even those who haven't gone through the civil rights movement, knows that this is America. This is what we do. Everybody wants to stand for something great. Everybody wants to make it the land of opportunity. Everybody wants to be a capitalist that they can be and make money, which I hear you. And I'm with all of that. But we also got this thing about a thirst for blood and not always seeing things in a way where there should be conflict resolution that should be highly touted. I'll put it like that. And just like I played the other day, it's interesting to me how I don't care which side you're on, whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, or you happen to be an independent or some other party. The first thing you do is that, because like I said the other day, I don't want to hear about random people on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram posting evil stuff about Charlie Kirk and his death. Don't want to hear about that. You show me the legislators. You show me those that are in power. I don't want to hear about celebrities and stuff like that. I want to hear from those elected officials, the people that we elected. You show me which Democrats said that was good for that to happen to that young man. You won't see it. But every time the president has an issue, even back to when he first took office again in 2025, and we had the plane crash in DC. First thing he chose to do was take the time to blame the former outgoing president, as opposed to taking the time to say, let us sit, let us pray for for these families, because these people have lost their lives. But because we're dealing in a situation with people who have lost their minds, we can't get it right. So we got about another 3.5 years at least of this. And you think civil war is bad now? If he makes it through this presidency, how many people you think it's going to take to get him out of there? Or, I'm sorry, what will the next January 6th look like? Will he deploy troops in as many cities as he can, possibly, to make people stand down? You see, it's always a difference between somebody talking the talk and then walking the walk. And he's showing you that he's going to walk the walk. And I hope we're all ready for the potential of what that walking the walk can be. But it's just a vote, right? It's just a vote. Because, remember, especially my African-American brothers and sisters out there, even my ones from the islands and just different parts, British who happen to come to this country by way of Britain or Jamaica or anywhere like that, and you're now in this country, and you decided to vote for this regime. I just hope you ain't the first. And what I mean by you, I'm talking about me. Hope that we're not the first to catch these problems. I hope that there's not a deal where We have to bunker down. We have to do different things. I'm going to remain optimistic for now. But I'm just saying, it's time to get smart. Smarten up. Maybe we need to buy less sneakers, less cars. Take the time and educate ourselves on certain things and get our own selves ready. I remember they were saying before, and I don't know. I guess because once again, shout out to Carl. Carl, my buddy Carl Williams sent me the Bible verses last week from about the tongue being mightier than the sword, and I still got them in the phone. I got to pull them back up, but I believe the Bible also talks about an antichrist. And not to get too religious because I'm not as well versed in it, but I remember people would say, "Oh, Obama, he might be the antichrist. He might be the such and such and such and such." And depending on what you believe, could this be the antichrist? I don't know. Not sure. But what I do know is that as being a whole grown, and I mean a grown, over middle-aged man, that it doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right. And to most of you, just like me, before you voted for it, if you had a soul, you would know it didn't move right. Because you know how they say, if you dance, you got some soul, you got some rhythm to you, you got some feeling to you. All right? But when you've lost your soul, you don't know how to be, in my estimation, the best version of yourself. Not saying you're a bad person, but you may not be the greatest version of yourself. Because once you lose your soul, you lose compassion. You lose a lot of heart. You lose a lot of understanding. But hey, just do me one favor, since I was an attendee of a HBCU, the great Norfolk State University. Leave the kids alone. You know what I mean? You want to thug it out with the adults. Leave the kids alone. They ain't got nothing to do with it. Just because they're brown, they still don't have anything to do with it. Because like I said before, none of us are probably going to go to Utah. Not many of us. And guess what? We don't even do stuff like that. But hey, as you know, as the story goes, live life. Don't let life live you.